I remember a lot of them, and it's just great for me to see that the children I was able to teach in kindergarten are all grown up and starting their own families. It's just really cool. It's a wonderful thing. Samantha Weiner, Brian Nipper, Julia Banfield. I could go on,
yes.
but yeah, now look at all of them.
Right.
How cool is that? We moved to Tallahassee, my family moved to Tallahassee in 1972, and that was my first experience with Temple Israel. So when we came here, it was just the sanctuary and the social hall and the classrooms that are attached to the social hall. So basically anything past that door didn't exist, right? It was a small, very close-knit group of Jewish families in the early 70s that were here. So we did not join. We did come, we did explore it, but it was a decision my parents made to not become members in the 1970s. So the thing, though, I had mentioned the other day at a sisterhood event when they were talking about the spinning dreidel was how important that type of resource was for this community, because as Jews, we had no ability to go and get candles for your menorah, any kind of Judaica, menorahs, dreidels, gelt, any of that, things for the Passover, whatever it was, it just didn't exist. And you would either have to physically travel to another city when you were visiting relatives or whatever and get those things, or the sisterhood several times a year would have these supplies that you could then come and get. And so even though we weren't members, we could still come, and what they would do is they would set up like card tables in the social hall, and that's where the stuff would be. And you would come in and you would get your candles and your gelt and your menorahs or whatever, and the money went right to sisterhood, because I guess they purchased it somehow and then they would have it available. So those are my memories as a kid, is connecting in with Temple Israel for those kinds of things. So I wanted the people at sisterhoods that run Spinning Dreidel to know that it's really important, because that really hasn't changed a whole lot for us here. So yes, we do have a little bit more options when it comes to finding Hanukkah candles and memorial candles and those kinds of things, but it's still nice to be able to come and connect with people to get those important things that are like baby naming or a bat mitzvah gift, a wedding gift, whatever. So I'm just so thankful that we have sisterhood, that we have the spinning dreidel. But those are my first memories of being connecting with Temple Israel. So as an adult, my decision to have my family, I married a person who was not Jewish, so we have an interfaith marriage, but we made a decision to raise our child Jewish. So in 1994, when I was pregnant with my son Franklin back then, I came, and Rabbi Garfine was still our rabbi. And at that point, I decided that I was going to become a member. So in 1994, I joined Temple Israel as a full-fledged member. And then when Frank was born in 95, we had his bris. And the rabbis, used to be the rabbi's study, rabbi's library. It's now cafe. It's a cafe now. So that was his bris, and then baby naming was here. So those are very important milestones that I remember with Rabbi Garfine and with some of the other families that were just becoming families at that point. There was a lot of us. So it was an exciting time to be joining the temple. The moms, right? So what happens, what I see in temple life, and it's a wonderful kind of circle of life, tree of life kind of moments where we go from acorns to trees, right? So a lot of us were new moms, you know, or moms that were raising younger kids, and those relationships with some of those women, one of them being Susan Nipper, who ended up being a president of Temple Israel. We were coming in, she had her 3 boys, I had my 1, and she is one of many moms at Temple Israel that we were all together, and the camaraderie, the collaboration, the ability to connect with people who were like-minded, culturally the same, raising kids, that was really a very important part of my experience with Temple Israel. There's funny stories.
Sure. Doing one.
A lot of it has to do with the kids and, you know, being that my child was a very unique child. He'll own that. So there were several experiences when he would be involved with religion school or those kinds of things. But one of the funnier stories is and I don't think they do it anymore, but religion school used to be when the students became 10th graders and they were graduating religion school, they would have the annual trip to New York. Do you remember the annual trip to New York? So that was like a real milestone for the kids. Everybody would get really psyched up for it and, you know, those kinds of things. So Frank was at a point where he could do these things without myself or my husband being there. So Rabbi Romberg takes, I don't know, 20 kids, maybe 15 kids to New York with a couple of parental chaperones that were there. And I get a call from Wendy Weiner informing me that Frank has locked himself in the hotel room and will not come out. And they had a very tight schedule. And that Rabbi Romberg had to go up there, and I guess Frank let him in the door, and they had their conversation, and Rabbi was able to deal with the situation that was at hand and get Frank to come out and those kinds of things. But the funny part was Rabbi Romberg, my husband not being Jewish, he didn't have that close a relationship with Rabbi Romberg, and so he would kind of say, well, he doesn't know who I am and those kinds of things. I'd be like, well, it's because you're not a temple member, but that's okay. So they were getting off the plane in Tallahassee after the trip. My husband went to pick up Frank, and they were actually on the tarmac, because you know how Tallahassee Airport is. They were coming in. And when Rabbi Romberg saw my husband, he was like, Don! He was so thankful to be able to hand Frank off to Don. And my husband, we have laughed about that because he was just the look on Rabbi Romberg's face and the excitement of, you're here. But I have to tell you that that trip was really impactful for Frank. Yes, there was those little, you know, hiccups here and there, but you know, the experience itself was very, very important for him. And I'm really, really glad that the kids got to do that for a period of time. I know that they don't do that anymore, but it was a very impactful trip for him, and I'm so glad. And my son was in Rabbi Romberg's first class. So Rabbi Romberg, I want to say, started around 2000, but you know, when Frank was 5 in kindergarten, I want to say it's the consecration class. Is that what? So he was in Rabbi Romberg's very first. So when he graduated, he had been with Rabbi Romberg all that time. So he was very close with Rabbi Romberg through those experiences and having, you know, those many years of being in religion school with him. Yes.
It's awesome.
It is awesome. And Temple life allows you to have that. By being a member, by being committed, by coming, engaging, you get a lot out of it. In, you know, things that are not, you can't put money on. It's just got a value that is intrinsic. It's from the heart. It's Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And, you know, I have to be honest, it is hard because when it's a part of a family and we lose people in our family as we grow and grow older. But I have to tell you, the support, I think, for those of us who have it is really important when we go through those life-changing times. And I wouldn't want to give that up for anything.